everybody? It's your girl, your favorite host, A. Millie of the Sip and Sip podcast. And tonight's guest, I have the founder and CEO of INDI Media. She goes by the name of Jada Renee. How are you, Jada? Welcome to the Sip and Sip.
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule because I know
No
you have a
problem.
lot going on, especially this
Man,
weekend
it's
and this
going.
year. And I'm just so happy that you were able to come down and sit and chat with me for a little bit.
Definitely. No problem.
So, Jada, tell me a little bit about you for those who are watching and that will watch. Who are you and who is Indie Media?
For sure. So my name is Jada Renee. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Born and raised. Went to St. Martin de Porres High School in Cleveland. Graduated from Kent State University in Ohio. I'm an artist. I'm a curator. I started my business, the Indie Group LLC, 10 years ago, which is what I'm
Wow.
celebrating along with a lot of other things this weekend. But I started my business in 2014 at Kent State University. And basically, I started it as a media marketing platform for artists to understand how to like curate and make profit from their art, and just understanding like how to navigate the entrepreneurship side of the artistic, mind. But yeah, and that manifested from curating events, branding, social media management for a lot of different nonprofits back in Cleveland, and
Mhm.
then just advancing that to several different states like Los Angeles, Houston, Texas, Chicago, Detroit. Yeah.
Wow, I love to hear that and to think that you started in your hometown. Your baby was created in
Definitely.
Cleveland, Ohio. And I want to go back. I want to go back to
Okay.
your days at Kent State University.
Okay.
Shout out, I am a college graduate as well. So
Hey.
yes, so I just want to take it all the way back with your days at Kent State University and
Gotcha.
how you really wanted to start your brand, because I know you said that you are an artist and
Yep.
so you're very involved with creatives and stuff. So
Hmm.
take me back to your time at Kent State University, with
Definitely.
you being an artist and how that this baby really came about, and what
For
does
sure.
indie media stand for?
Definitely. So, for starters, indie stands for individuality. So it all started from me basically being around a lot of different creatives and just creative individuals, friends who were
Mhm.
at my college who, I guess, like were majoring in things that they weren't necessarily like too passionate about. So that usually happens, in our generation or just in life. But I'm speaking for our generation. So I feel like a lot of, youth in our generation, the millennials, we struggle with the mental battle of, are we gonna follow our dreams and like
Mm.
do what people perceive as like could be so cliche. Like it sounds so cliche, right? To like follow your dreams. But that's the passion that you really like do need to follow. So you get a little conflicted and you kind of listen to other people outside of yourself. Those people can involve your family, friends, people who mean a lot to you, and their opinions can mean a lot to you. So you kind of
Mhm.
sway towards that. And I was just around a lot of creatives who were going through like that mental battle. And I was one of those creatives as well, but I kind of like had a major that gave me a little bit of flexibility. So I was majoring in electronic media. So I was already into like media, cameras, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
I guess like in high school, but I was also a basketball player, like super duper heavy in high school. So no one really knew I had like this, I guess, secret love for the arts. But I
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
like always into arts, media, fashion, drawing, like literally like
Mhm.
basketball and then art at home,
Mhm.
like all day, every
Mhm.
day. So outside of that, it kind of just like expanded once I got to Kent State. Cause when you get to college, it's kind of like you got that freedom, that time to just
Mhm.
understand yourself and just advance on whatever you didn't even know was
Mhm.
possible.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's kind of how it started, and just kind of grabbing all of those friends, having conversations, just meeting new friends, understanding what they want to do, listening, and that kind of, I think, sparked my inspiration, because I'm just in general the friend that you talk to and talk about your life, what you want to do. I'm like always inspired. You should do that. Like you tell me something you
Mhm.
want to do, like you
Mhm.
should do it. You should start. You should figure out how to get that done. So that's
Mhm.
just how I roll. But
Mhm.
I felt like I was like consistently having that conversation.
Mhm.
So it kind of like felt like God was guiding me to create something that was
Mhm.
not necessarily just like for myself and my artistry, but for others to
Mm-hmm.
understand like the advancement of like being on a platform, to understand how to get all of that done. It's not just by yourself. You have to like work it as a business mind, because the artist, you get confused, you get sad, you get anxiety, you get all these feelings because you
Mm-hmm.
got all this art sitting up in your mind. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a person that's like understanding business and the structure to how to like guide that, you don't know how to sift through that and create an actual tangible product from that.
Mm-hmm. I love how you talk about that and kind of broke it down enough, because a lot of people, they don't get the creative mind. They don't get the passion behind being a creative. I know you said just a few minutes ago how your family members probably swayed you to, oh, major in this and do this, this
Right,
will
right.
make you money. I've had that in my family as well. But when you have a passion with something,
Yep.
I live by this. You're pregnant with it. And so
Yeah.
when you're pregnant with it, that's a baby, because it's going to show whether or not you pregnant with
Man.
something. And it's the passion showed. And I love how you talked about that, because a lot of artists, a lot of creatives, they don't mention that in interviews, anything. They don't mention how, okay, like family members wanted you to do this, and
Right.
but it wasn't what you were passionate about. And I know some people, even where I grew up, the arts wasn't too prevalent. It wasn't,
Mm.
it was nothing but sports and
Oh yeah.
education, and of
Yep.
course, but nothing about the arts, nothing about media. And I come from a small town in Alabama, so
Oh wow.
nothing
Nice.
in the country part of Alabama was taught that way. It's either you play sports, you go to college, major in education or whatnot, but nothing about the
Yeah.
media. So I'm glad that you kind of broke it down, and it took off because you were pregnant, with your baby, and you have birthed INDI Media. Now
Mhm.
you help and work with so many artists, and
Yeah.
one of them stuck out to me,
Mm.
is the late great Nipsey Hussle. Tell me, what
Definitely.
was it like to collaborate with such a visionary like
Oh
himself?
man. It was that was like a real testament of like the law of attraction, and that
Mm-hmm.
was like a real blessing that manifested in real life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I had always wanted to work with Nipsey. I had always been thinking about how to like figure it out. Like, how would I, if I would ever work with him, what would it be like? But it was never just like a full on thought that I think I was like always trying to manifest. Like, I've always been a fan. I've always listened to his music. And I really do think that once he started pushing his entrepreneurship route, like to the media more, in terms of like breaking down his structure on how he built the marathon, how he built marathon clothing, how he would talk like real specific about business and real specific about,
Mm-hmm.
you could sign, but why sign when you could be independent, and like
Mm-hmm.
strategize that structure to really create your own route in music. So just taking that like verbatim what he said about music, but just matching it to what I do with business in terms of like, the structures of my business. And then music goes along with that as well, because I manage artists. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
label, Indie Music Group, where I do manage artists. We do artist management, artist development, artist
Mm-hmm.
booking. So that was along the lines of understanding how to even navigate for our artists, and even
Mm-hmm.
navigate how we want to build our independent structure, for our musicians. So that was just like, okay, wow, it's only one artist that I see in this world of, I guess, celebrities that's really talking about that route to independent success, like
Mm-hmm.
showing tangible ways to like make independent money outside of like, signing a record deal, or just
Mm-hmm.
the same verbatim that you hear every other rapper talk about. He just wasn't talking about that. So that became an inspiration in itself. And then I'm just a stickler for knowing how to connect the dots. Like, I know how to get to whoever I want to get to. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a
Mm-hmm.
situation where we was throwing an event in Cleveland. It was a few different voter nonprofit events that wanted to figure out how to get voting as a message to the millennials, to understand the power of voting, and like on a local level, not just like the presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like Nipsey Hussle would be a cool person to break down that message, to get it to like understand, on the youth level, because
Mm-hmm.
voting is kind of boring. Like, when you just talk about voting, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like, even if you even if you are registered to vote, it's just unfortunately a boring topic. So it's like, okay, if we
Mm-hmm.
bring Nipsey in here to talk about voting and why, it's important, to vote as a young person, just even understanding on a city level, that'll be, pretty massive. He could talk to the community, and then we finessed it. Like, we it took a lot, I'll say, of planning for sure. It took a lot of budgets. It took a lot
Mhm.
of
Of course,
you feel me,
yes.
going back and forth with management, but he liked the idea. His team liked the idea. That was the first time that he did anything like that. We brought him to Cleveland State University to talk on a panel about voting and the power of voting amongst the millennials.
Hmm.
He went back and forth with the crowd, talked about just questions. It ended up being like a
Hmm.
Q&A that he did. It was a crazy moment. Like, it was crazy.
I love to hear that. And he was such a inspiration and a visionary for so many business entrepreneurs like yourself, people in
For sure.
music like yourself, and other artists and everything. What is one thing that you can remember with your collaboration with Nipsey Hussle that has really taken you so far in your own industry, in your own being a business entrepreneur? what
Man,
what
what?
is something that he told you that you will forever remember about Nipsey
Man,
Hussle?
he ain't tell me nothing. He showed me. He got my
Mm,
merchandise. He put it on his body and he wore it.
wow.
And he got
Wow.
caught. Yeah, he got caught in LAX with it. He basically, when he pulled up, I was in charge of, like, everything, in charge of booking
Mhm,
him, in charge of getting him, to Cleveland, in charge of his
mhm,
restaurant options for breakfast once he got to Cleveland, his
mhm.
Uber, all of that. So once he got to Cleveland, he actually got lost, and they didn't know where Cleveland State University was at because our downtown was a little confusing. So I had to meet him in my Nissan, and I had to drive downtown to meet him at the intersection. So I had already had it planned out that I was gonna give him these hoodies. I just didn't know how it was gonna play out. So when I had got to the actual spot where they was at, his bodyguard was there, but like Nipsey was in the car, but like his bodyguard came out the driver's seat. And I was just like, oh snap. So when Nipsey, he was in the, in the passenger seat, when they pulled up, he just he just had a fat smoke cloud, bro. Like, it's a big smoke cloud. He was like, what's up, young blood? And I was like, what up, Nip? It was just
Yeah.
so crazy. So his bodyguard came out to, like, let Nip out. But as soon as the bodyguard came out, I had these hoodies. And it was like, soon as I had the hoodies, Nipsey also got out the car. So it was like, I don't know who I'm gonna get these to. I'm gonna just like give them to you, Mr. Bodyguard. So
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
he put them in the trunk. So I was like, oh snap, he put the hoodies in the trunk. We ain't gonna see them hoodies again for real. Like, oh, it's a wrap. But then, like, I don't know, it's probably like a week after he got back to LA. I got tagged in a photo on Instagram, and TMZ had dropped a photo of him in
Wow.
LAX with the indie on. Like, it's our classic hoodie. It's a individual. It's all black, but the indie is like bold red. So
Uh-huh.
indie stands for individuality. So it's just something I knew he would like. But
Yeah.
like when I gave it to him, like, you just think because Nipsey rep his brand so heavy that you don't think he gonna,
Yes.
you know, rep somebody else's brand. But that's how I know. So when you ask me that, it's like, it's not everything, always what somebody say is what they do. Like, the actions really speak louder than the words. So him putting that hoodie on his body,
Mm.
that meant everything. And then I seen it several other times. He gave it to his kids. We done seen it. We done seen it on his kids. We done seen it on his nephew. We done seen it. Somebody in
Everywhere.
his family had a dinner party. It been floating in Nipsey's house. So that's like
Wow.
all we needed to know.
And that's something that you will always treasure and remember about him being a visionary. It's like he
Definitely.
didn't say, oh no, I don't know about this. No, he actually put it on. He
You feel me?
repped indie media, and that's
Exactly.
what he was about. He was repping black businesses, number
For
one. that
sure.
that was like really the main thing. And of course, him being a visionary, and everything that he spoke about was very much true. And we
Right.
gotta shout out him, rest in peace to the great Nipsey Hussle.
Definitely.
I know you help and work with artists, and
Hmm.
you take them to the next level. How important is it with you being an artist as well as owning your own brand? How is it important to have artist development and
Hmm.
management? Because you see a lot of artists these days, new age artists, they don't.
Hmm.
What do you think um is the most important thing to have, artist management and development?
I think they're both very important. I think the management, it's all like a play on words. Like I feel like you gotta understand that you gotta manage yourself first before you like go seek
Mm.
out, management. You
Yes.
gotta be
Hmm.
manageable like as a
Yeah.
person, and then you have to be manageable as an artist, meaning you gotta understand your artist technique, you gotta understand your pros and cons of being an artist yourself. And
Hmm.
then once you have like understood the structures of how to like build your brand. I'm not saying everything you got to do by yourself, but like if we just talking like musicians, like okay, the structures of like uploading your music properly, the structures of
Hmm.
understanding, what's gonna be your single when you put this EP out, the structures of understanding. Okay, before I even do any of this, what's my cover art gonna look like? How I'm gonna pay for the cover art? Who gonna
Hmm.
do the cover art? Those
Hmm.
types of steps before you get, a manager who is
Hmm.
really like looking for like more so like deadlines. So it's kind of like you got to self discipline before you can get that artist management. But that artist development, it's all like I would say a two-way street, because it's only like Nip said, it's as big as you want to make it and as far as you want to take it. So
Mm.
you gotta put in that work, enough work at least to meet the management halfway, so that everything that the management is going to do can make sense and actually
Hmm.
elevate you to the next level. Because yes, I do take you to the next level, but it's only as much as the power that you put in for me to take you to the next level. You feel what I'm saying? Because
Hmm. Hmm.
my level gonna go up to the top regardless. Like
Hmm.
I know exactly how to take whoever you feel me to wherever they're trying to go. But you got to understand that the artist is like the most powerful. Like you understanding that you are like a vessel to basically get downloads from the universe to create whatever type of art category that is for you. That's a power. And you got to know
Hmm.
how to manage that yourself first. You got to know how to be tangible in that first and understand that power that you got first to get all of that stuff that you got from that creativity out. And then you mold it.
Hmm.
And then you seek basically like, if we talking about a dancer, like you seek what type of dance you want to do. Maybe it's hip
Hmm.
hop style. Okay, cool. You get so perfect in that hip hop style of dance that you'll understand what you need managed. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes artists, they don't know what they need, so it's just like,
Exactly.
I don't know, and we can't work with I don't know, because if it's I don't know, then I don't know. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's
Hmm.
all self work, and then you meet it with the meetings of the minds, and that's what I'm really great at. I'm great at meeting with the minds. I'm great at
Hmm.
you being a confused ball of artists, giving you the structures on how to do
Hmm.
that self development work, and then we start to bring in the other, like, I'll say tools that assist in building this machine, because it can't go until you full clear in that mindset and you're not distracted and you can see
Hmm.
yourself. You got to see yourself be that artist
Hmm.
that you're trying to be, and then I can come in
Exactly.
and help you.
Exactly. And a lot of artists don't have that. They don't have that mindset, that structure, to really think like that. And I'm glad that
Yeah,
you kind of bring that, that creativity out of them a little bit
yeah,
more. You gotta,
exactly.
if you think it, you can become it.
That's true, and you really got to believe that. Like sometimes artists, like, you really get low in yourself doubt,
Mm-hmm.
like you really unfortunately created for yourself because you so used to feeling that way. You so used to
Mm-hmm.
feeling like it's not gonna work. You so
Mm-hmm.
used to feeling like, dang, bro, it's been taking too long. I don't know if I'm ever gonna
Mm-hmm.
make it. But it's like, what's your real tangible definition of making
Mm-hmm.
it? Like if you comparing your definition of making it to, I don't know, Two Chains and Big Sean, then no, you're not gonna make it because you don't know what they had to do to make it. So you gotta figure out what's your version of making it, and don't compare it to nobody, and be so like happy with that outcome and so lit with your version of it that you blow yourself up, and you ain't gotta
Mm-hmm.
give no credit to nobody because you did all of that shit yourself, and that's who you write it off to. But you got to be true in yourself and know that. So I think this artists get confused in that. That's what I'm saying. Like the power of the artist is the most important. Like don't get your power away.
That's it right there. And I feel like nobody had really says that to really break it down. No, I've
Mm.
never heard anybody say that, as an artist, with you coming as an artist, but as a entrepreneur on the business mindset too.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that. So I'm glad that you did break that down and kind of talk about that a little bit. Now, I want to
Thank
know, how has your brand, Indie Media, changed the industry? How
you.
has it changed the music
Whew.
industry?
These some powerful questions. So I definitely think it has changed the industry and will continue to change the industry, because I'm not necessarily looking to change the industry. The industry of music has already created itself. And
Mhm.
unfortunately it's like falling, because artists are no longer trusting the industry, and they're not
Mhm.
trusting the system of the industry. So what
Mhm.
I'm doing to change the industry is not focusing on them and focusing on the artists that I know
Mhm.
don't get seen by them. I'm focused on the
Mm.
platform of building the character. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like,
Mhm.
we not making false characters and putting them in the industry and promoting them to the masses to sway them to believe false narratives. That's not what
Mhm.
we're doing. We're
Mhm.
actually like character building artists who have real tangible talent, who love themselves and who
Mhm.
love the storylines that they're actually speaking, which are coming from truth.
Mhm.
And they're really, expanding on their life experiences to
Mhm.
get further in their artistry.
Mhm.
Once you start talking industry, unfortunately, you start talking, facades. And it's a lot of people that are not ready to have a conversation on what they see in the industry is not necessarily, true. A lot of the
Mhm.
artists that we've looked up to, unfortunately, like I said, we don't know what they've had to do to get whatever they
Mhm.
deem as making it or
Mhm.
tangible
Mhm.
to fame. So what I
Mhm.
feel like indie media is doing is creating a real tangible version of that. Like, I come from the 90s. Like, I'm a 90s baby. I just had a birthday on the 17th. I just turned 30. So I'm a 90s baby. Like, I really grew up watching all of these rappers be on MTV Cribs. Like,
Mhm.
I remember everything about the way Diddy portrayed himself and how he portrayed his artists. I remember Biggie. I remember Tupac. I remember Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, I
Mhm.
know how all of these artists was portrayed, and unfortunately, these artists are not where we would think they should be. Like,
Mhm.
I've booked Nipsey Hussle. I've booked David Banner, and we had a really, really great conversation about how the industry kind of lied to our OG artists and kind of didn't really give them the full scope of what they was gonna really need and how they
Mhm.
was gonna really need to understand their finances once they got the mansion and once they got the car and once they got mansions and cars and didn't have no money to actually pay their staff, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying, or pay
Mhm.
themselves. So like the facade is like what gets pushed. So it's like that's why coming up, our generation, they don't understand that it's really real
Mhm.
in terms of like being an artist. You think it's something that's like a game. It's not a game, it's actually work. But they didn't show you the work. They didn't show you the actual work ethic to
Exactly.
build a business
Mhm.
or build a brand.
Mhm.
They just showed you
Mhm.
big pimping spinning cheese. And that's cool
Mhm.
because you do that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that happens. But behind the scenes, like, you not just gonna be Jay-Z off top. Like,
Mhm.
it's levels to that. And that's a
Mhm.
character in itself. Jay-Z
Mhm.
is a character.
Mhm.
It's a separate person behind when he go home and go to sleep.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
like those things are the things that our generation missed. So we don't really be, you know, knowing ourselves because we
Right. No,
be
I
matching
agree.
ourselves to
I
people on TV.
definitely, I definitely agree about that. I feel like, I grew up in the 90s as well. I'm a little bit older than you. I don't want to tell my age, but
You
I mean I'm
good?
35. But I grew up in the
Right.
90s as well. I remember all of these rappers, watching MTV Cribs or, watching BET, and
Mm-hmm.
they never talked about the business side. They just
No.
talked to how to get it. And that's something that I always advocate with me being in media and being in radio as well. I always would tell artists, make sure you align yourself with positive people that know the business side, because yeah, you can fly, you
Exactly.
can floss, but you have to have the mindset of the business side. That is something that a lot of these artists, even the TikTok artists, the
Mm-hmm.
Instagram artists, social media artists, in a way, they lack that. They don't have that business side mentality. They don't want
Right.
to learn. And I'm
That
not
part.
saying it's all of them, it's some of them.
Yeah.
They don't want to
Exactly.
they don't want to learn that. And I feel that it is very important to learn that business side. Just like,
Definitely.
it is important for artists to market their brand. So I want to
Right.
ask you, how important is it for an artist to market their brand?
Oh man, what? I've been marketing my brand since I was 19 years old. I just turned 30. So that's the answer. Like you can't stop. Like it's literally like I don't know. Like you just it's like you take a oath or something with
Mhm,
yourself once you
mhm,
create your brand,
mhm,
and you treat it like Nike. Like you see Nike everywhere you go. It's literally
mhm,
not a moment that
mhm,
you could probably look around your house right now and find a Nike item. You could go
mhm,
outside right now and find somebody wearing a Nike item. Like you can go in a store and see
mhm,
something that's gonna have Nike on it. So it's stuff like that, or Starbucks, like anything. You gotta think big like that, and you
mhm,
gotta like really like believe it though. Like it's this is all about self belief. Like
mhm, mhm,
if you don't believe that your brand can get to those brand levels, like what I just said about Nike and Starbucks, then it's not gonna get there. It's gonna stay at that level that you was thinking about because you was thinking about it in fear. So you got this little
mhm,
baby of an idea floating in a boat of fear.
mhm,
And how
mhm,
is it supposed to grow when it's literally floating in a boat of fear? Your
mhm,
emotions is drowning it. Your pure idea, it came from purity. It did not come from fear. It came from God. So it came
mhm,
from purity. So, but you drowning it with fear and you gonna kill it
mhm, mhm,
unconsciously. So you can't do that. Once you get it straight from the source, you bring light to it. You put green pasture energy into it. You
mhm,
rub it, massage it, put oil in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta put the love in it so that it can put the love back into you and really show you. No, I mean, it's just all about self belief. I'll just take it back there. It's like if you don't believe that that idea that you got, which was like I said, like a little seed of a pure,
mhm,
form of thought, and if you unfortunately like put that fear into it, it's gonna steer that whole idea in the wrong direction, which is where you didn't want it to
mhm,
go. So it's
mhm,
like you gotta nurture it with positivity, and like it's literally like a flower. Like you gotta nurture it with positivity so it grow properly. Like, and sometimes it's like that environment is gonna mess with it. Like the people around inside that environment is gonna mess with it. It's all
mhm,
about the vibrations of you. So if you got this
mhm,
seed planted inside of you, and
mhm,
everybody that you tell the seed about, they not giving you positive feedback, maybe don't tell them about the seed. Like, stop.
mhm,
Stop talking about the seed. Like, go hide the seed. Like, so it's like it's you just gotta make it make sense to you so that you don't create them moments of yourself that's gonna tell you to stop investing in yourself in
mhm.
that thought.
Agree, and I loved how you talked about that, because that's something that we need, and a lot of people don't really think about. Now, you've worked with the youth in your hometown of
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland. I love how you give back to your community, number one, but more so with the youth. So you just partnered with the Destination Dream Foundation,
Yep.
and you raised $12,000. Cool, I got to give you a hand clap.
Thank
And
you.
this is all for the youth in
Yep.
Cleveland. So tell me a little bit about that.
Definitely. So the Destination Dream Foundation is a foundation I started back in 2020, and
Mm,
it basically came from the name came from a web series I started back in college, Destination Dream, which was a web series where I would go interview different artists about what they wanted to do, like
mhm,
art stuff, just cool stuff they were into, and then it kind of like elevated once I graduated, did a few artist showcases, and then I started working with the youth, getting involved in Cleveland school systems and working with like just different groups of kids, doing artist workshops, teaching kids how to create their own clothing lines and business
mm,
plans and stuff like that. And then I got inspired to create my own nonprofit because, like I told you, I work with different nonprofits in Cleveland. So I do their marketing, event planning,
mhm,
just curation for all things creative. And so
mhm,
once I got kind of in with a lot of the nonprofits, I was kind of guided to a lot of the youth that they were working with, and we got to kind of like dabble in
mhm,
collaboration, and it just kept elevating from there. Got to study because I love to study people, places, things,
mhm,
and I just studied the world of the nonprofits in general and just understood that like, okay, I could do this. I could find my place here creating a nonprofit directly for the youth in terms of like business building
mhm,
in the
mhm,
arts, because
mhm,
that's the part that you you're supposed to get that part when you a kid. It's unfortunately
Mhm.
hard to get that artist development when you are in your 20s. Like, it's
Mhm.
very
Exactly.
difficult
I agree.
to retrain your brain to like sit down and listen, or sit down and reread information, or just sit down and understand that you might have just not knew the answer to these things. So it's like when you're a kid, you got a fresh brain. It's fresh.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
could just properly educate a child on how to understand their route to success with whatever that art niche is that they got. So if they love to design, they don't have to know nothing else about nothing. All they need to know is that they love to design, and these are how you can get better. These are ways that you can get better at just loving how to design. And
Mm.
then them themselves is gonna say, you know what? I love to design so much. I want to design my own clothing line.
Mhm.
And they're
Mhm.
supposed to just, as kids, in my opinion, have the resources to do that. I feel like this
Right.
is America, and I feel like America should be able to give all the kids the resources to do all the wacky things in their brain. So I don't have control of the world, but I got control of Cleveland, Ohio. So I feel like if I could get Cleveland, Ohio, at least the kids, because I can't control the
Mhm.
adults, but the kids to understand that the things that they see in their head is not crazy. You're not
Mhm.
tripping. You could actually get that. It's opportunities out here that could give
Mhm.
you access to that. It's funding out here that could actually give you whatever you thinking in your head. You could do that. So I basically had my grandmother's house renovated into what we call an indie art house. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's gonna be the Destination Dream Art House headquarters, and all of the youth in Cleveland basically will be invited to come and learn education programming and artist
Mhm.
programming on how to create business plans for their actual art ideas. So they'll have photo studio space. All the bedrooms will be renovated into photo studio space, music
Wow.
space, fashion design space, co-working space, a laptop bar, several different education rooms. But yeah, that's what the $12,000 was for.
That is so dope to think that, you're giving back to your community, especially the youth. And I know, like, your grandmother, your family are so proud of you for just, not letting that space go to ways that you are utilizing it, and especially having the youth come in there. Girl, kudos to you. I love
Thank
to
you.
hear it. I love to see it. Now, you have a lot to be celebrating for with that as well,
Hey,
but you will be celebrating 10 years, your 10-year anniversary of Indie Media. How does it feel to
man.
basically be in the game as an entrepreneur for these last 10 years, and really seeing your baby Indie Media grow?
It feels very surreal. Like yesterday, we out in LA, and yesterday, or ever since the 17th, my brother just been like, "You 30, you 30, you 30." Like, just random moments of the day, he just like, "You 30." So I'm just like, "Oh my god." So it's like sinking in, but I feel like it's everything I wanted as a kid. I didn't know I wanted to have a business per se as a kid, but I always knew I was gonna be rich. I didn't know how, but I just knew that I was gonna get rich. And I feel
Mhm,
like I was always into art, focused on it very, very heavy. And I just always believed in myself. I was an
mhm.
athlete as a kid. Like, I was very serious about basketball. So I think I kind of navigate my career like a basketball player, like an athlete. So um I'm excited. I feel like I'm in I feel like I'm in the championship, but I already won. Like, I don't know.
Yes. Yes, and that's how you have to be. Like I said, I'm a little bit older than you. So when I hit the 30 mark, it was like, oh Lord, I feel like I'm getting old, but I feel like, you're just getting started,
Yeah.
especially in this decade of your life. You have
Mhm.
so many things that are going on in with indie media. And I want to say, you're an inspiration. Continue to shine your light,
Thank
because
you.
it is just so much that indie media is getting ready to take on.
Hey,
Especially,
thank
I
you.
know you do have a event coming up this
Oh
weekend in
yeah.
Los Angeles. So tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about that.
Oh, it's going. So we got a pop-up shop and an after party on January 21st. That's this Saturday in Los Angeles. So the pop-up shop is going to be on Melrose Avenue, and it's
Mhm.
going to be called the Fuck Anxiety Pop-up Shop. So this is like a big mental health awareness weekend event. It's actually National Hugging Day on January 21st.
Mm.
So Who
Okay.
knew that existed? But
Right.
it's ironic that it's just National Hugging Day that day. But it's basically a part of my clothing line. So when I was at Kent State, I started the brand as a clothing line first, and then it elevated into
Wow.
doing shows and managing artists and working with companies and XYZ. But everything started as a clothing line. So several different parts of the clothing line. So you got indie, you got Be Happy, I'm wearing one, and then you got
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Anxiety. So Fuck Anxiety is kind of like a direct call to the artist that deals with anxiety, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you talk about it, but you kind of really don't accept it. Like anxiety is something that you kind of just like, you got it, but you don't accept it. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Same here. I
but it's
deal with
like,
anxiety too. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But like when you start to call it out and acknowledge it, like, especially on something like clothing, it's kind of like subconscious, and like you can really feel connected to like beating something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like with me, I'm saying fuck anxiety. It's like a mantra, not to put a negative connotation on anxiety, because I believe you're supposed to feel all your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not supposed to let the anxiety distract you. You're not supposed to let it,
Right.
kill your dreams. You're not supposed to let it, keep you so stuck that you don't
Mm-hmm.
invest in yourself or
Mm-hmm.
think that you could actually do what you was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put a whole bunch of artists together, who sell clothes and who love themselves and love art, but also struggle with anxiety, you get the Fuck Anxiety pop-up shop. So it's going to be several Midwest designers, Los Angeles designers, all clothing based around mental health. And I'll be releasing some new clothes. I haven't put clothes out in like 2 years because we just been building, working
Mm-hmm.
with the kids, working with the property, all of this stuff. But this will be like a cool release that I'm about to drop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see all the different brands. I've been
Mm-hmm.
coordinating this from Ohio for like the past 4 months. So
Wow.
I'm happy to finally meet everybody. And then
Yes.
it's gonna be an
Yes.
after party in a mansion. I can't tell the location because it's a
Oh
private
wow.
location, but the after party is gonna be a mansion party in Los Angeles, and yeah, it's called the Fuck Anxiety Mansion Party.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Cannot wait to see and hear, about that. So do you have any new projects coming up
Mm,
with Indie Media this year? We're in a brand new year.
definitely.
So can you tell us any new projects that you got coming up?
Definitely. So we're actually gonna be doing an artist call, like kind of already started back in Cleveland, to get artists to come into the art house to actually do murals
Mm,
and show canvases and everything, because we got the renovations done to get everything painted white and just get house stuff up to date. But the goal is to cover all of the white walls with
hmm.
art from local artists. So right
Wow.
now, yeah, we're planning that artist
Amazing.
call, and after that we're gonna actually start the programming. We want to aim it for the summer to at least start getting kids in there for summer classes and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But outside of that, we're still curating events, managing artists. I'm on vacation, so my brain stopped working like 5 days ago. But we're gonna have a list of events dropping like very soon, literally like once I get back to Ohio.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. And before we end this interview, can you please tell how people can find you, how they can be a part of Indie Media,
For sure.
especially for artists? Can you drop all of your information?
Definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at Indi, that's INDI.media. And then we have a website, so indiegroup.com. So the Indie Group, THE, and then INDIGROUP.com. And let's see, what's my Twitter? Indie Media underscore. So INDI Media and then an underscore. And then Destination Dream on Instagram is Destination Dream Foundation. Yeah,
Okay, well, there you have it. Jada, thank you so much for coming on the Sip and Sit. It is a pleasure to
for
meet you.
sure.
And I know Indie Media. I know I cannot wait to hear more about Indie Media. And you family now, so you got to come back on the Sip and
Hey,
Sit and
I
tell
can
me what
definitely
you
do that.
got going, especially as the year progresses.
For sure. I can definitely do that.
Yes, yes. And y'all make sure if y'all are out in Los Angeles this weekend, make
Oh,
sure you attend the Fuck Anxiety pop-up shop. Is going to be
yes.
out there in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
And this will be posted so you can follow Jada and her company Indie Media and get all the details of where the pop-up shop in Los Angeles will
yes.
be this Saturday. All right. Until next time, y'all, I will be back with another episode of the Sip and Sit. Peace.
Hey.